Book of Nahum is a book of devastation. In fact, it's about the fall of Nineveh. Now, Nineveh may be a familiar name to you, especially if you've read the book of Jonah. Jonah was commanded, go to Nineveh and preach repentance to the people there. And he did, after that short stint in the belly of the whale. And the people of Nineveh repented, turned to God, but Nahum takes place about 150 years after the events of Jonah. So we know that they have turned back away from God now during this period of time. We see from the book of Nahum that they were indicted for harlotry and seductions. They were told to take responsibility for their sins. And by the end of this 3-chapter book, we're going to see that Nineveh would have a complete destruction. Now, the name Nahum actually means comforter. How can we find comfort in the destruction of this people? Well, there are three main aspects of God that I want to show you from Nahum chapter 1 and to hopefully give you a sense of comfort even when destruction takes place all around us. Now, notice this in Nahum chapter 1, verse 2, it says, God is a jealous and avenging God. He is the Lord. He is avenging and wrathful, and he takes vengeance on his adversaries. Now, I know you're saying, hold on, time out. God is jealous? God is wrathful? This doesn't seem like the holy and merciful God we see all throughout the Bible, but I want you to see it from this perspective, that because God is love, he has to be a God of wrath. And I never understood this until I held my firstborn daughter in my arms. When I looked at her, I was full of love, and yet there was a wrath that came on me that said, if anybody messes with her, I would die for her. And so as I sense that, I want to see the perfect love of God, that because he loves us, because he loves his people, any person or any nation that comes against them and rebels against God, wrath has to come forth. And so to see God as a jealous God, that's a pure jealousy. That's a holy jealousy. He is jealous for his people. Not only that, but notice verse 3. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power. God is patient with us. God is compassionate. He is good because he's a patient God. Even in the midst of destruction, we see the goodness of God because he's long suffering. He allowed years, 150 years from Jonah to Nahum for these people to continue to walk with him. But we also see that our God is a righteous God. Listen to verse 15. Behold, on the mountains, the feet of him who brings good news, who announces peace. Yes, in the book of Nahum, a book of destruction, we see the promise of the gospel. That though this people would be rebellious and there would come wrath, there would come God himself in the flesh who would be our peace, and on the cross would exchange our sin for his righteousness. He would say, announce this good news, this gospel, good tidings to anyone who would trust in Jesus. So 3 chapters, the book of Nahum, a book of destruction. The greatest destruction that could take place is the destruction of our own pride, our own arrogance, our sinfulness. And just as the Bible tells us, Christ conquered death, hell, and the grave to bring peace to us. Nahum points us to Jesus because God is a God of jealousy, a God of patience, but a God of righteousness and peace. And he longs for you.